Hello everyone. Choosing the right Ausbildung in Germany is more than a step forward. It's a strategic leap into top paying programs, booming career opportunities, and high growth industries. By blending hands-on experience with academic excellence, your decision can unlock pathways to success in Germany's most in-demand sectors. So join me today to discover Ausbildung options that lead to jobs in different sectors, like, for example, engineering, healthcare, IT, or skilled trades in Germany, because the right choice truly makes all the difference. So today I'll be discussing about more tips about choosing your vocational training in Germany. There are different types of vocational training in Germany, apart from the different areas which I have covered in my previous videos. Today we are going to explore more about this area when it comes to vocational training in Germany. I'll be discussing three types of vocational training today, or Ausbildung in Germany. That is the schulische Ausbildung, Dual Ausbildung, and betriebliche Ausbildung, which is part of a model of the Dual Ausbildung. I won't be discussing everything today. So, the schulische Ausbildung, that is the school-based training. The Dual Ausbildung, that is combined training, that is academic and practical learning, and the betriebliche Ausbildung, which is part of a model in the Dual Ausbildung. We have 4 different types, and I'll be discussing just one out of the 4 of the Dual Ausbildung model. This is a in-company based training. So I encourage you to watch all the video to the end so you get to understand the types of vocational training or know how to choose the one that best fits your profession or your career in Germany. So the first vocational training that we have, the type is the schulische Ausbildung. That is a school-based vocational training that mainly takes place at a school. That is where you do it, at a school. Example of the school that you train at is a vocational school or a vocational college. Maybe a state or a private vocational school or a vocational college specialized academic provider. That is what we call a vocational provider, a vocational school. It can be private and it can be state-owned. That is why it is referred, because most of your time you spend at the vocational school. It is school-based. That is why it is called full-time school-based training. Do you take internship? Yes, you take internship because school-based training, you gain experience from internship. That is, you apply your training of what you have learned in school through an internship. This is not a permanent employment in the company. You go there to the company, another company, not the school now, to do your internship. So how do you learn? You have intensive theoretical learning, which is advantage for some professions, and you are not integrated directly into the working life because it is school-based. You only go to the company to apply the theory of what you've learned in the school, and it is not a direct entry into the working life in Germany. Do you get paid? No. There is often no salary, and additional cost may be incurred for school fees. Now, to go to a vocational school, there are different types of ways, which I'll be discussing later in other videos. When it comes to vocational school, private school, you need a Bildungsträger. That is a certificate, like a payment certificate from the government offices, because vocational schools have to be paid. So you incur, so there are steps, there are things you have to comply with to be able to get this Bildungsträger. There are tips which I'll be discussing on what to do, you are expected to have. So most times people talk about the German language. There are more things you have to understand when it comes to vocational training system in Germany. So if you are doing the schulische Ausbildung, that is a school-based training, it is mainly when there are different types of professions. There are some that you just have to do the schulische, and there are some that there are different ways you have to go about it. This I'll continue to explain in this video. Do you get a certificate? Yes, you do. Now, you do an Abschlussprüfung, that is, you write an Abschlussprüfung or Staatliche Prüfung, and you receive your certificate at the end of your schulische Ausbildung. This certificate is often decisive for admission to further education. For example, if you are going to the university or you are starting a career. So that is the certificate you get when it comes to schulische Ausbildung. Now, looking at the second form of Ausbildung, like I said, the dual Ausbildung, we have 4 models, and I'll be talking just one part. I'll be discussing one part of the model in this video, and the other 3 in another video. So, where do you do a dual Ausbildung, a dual training? It's a vocational training that takes place at a school and a company. You learn at both a higher education, for example, university or University of Applied Sciences, and a company. So practical skills, you have knowledge through work placement, internship, or integrated vocational training within the company. So you are at the company and you are learning. The learned mode is universities provide the necessary theoretical knowledge and general education subjects, while in the company you work directly, you learn the practical aspects of your choosing profession under the guidance of experienced professionals. That is the difference. In the schulische, it is just in the school, but in the dual studium or the dual Ausbildung, you do it at the university and in the company. So do you get paid? Unlike the schulische Ausbildung, where you don't get paid, there is a payment or stipend from the company during your studies if you are going to a dual study, which helps you to take care of the cost of daily living. So do you have a certificate when you go through a dual Ausbildung? Yes. It can both lead to an academic degree, for example, a bachelor's, and a vocational qualification, a recognized apprenticeship certificate. So that is the difference. So the first schulische, you have the certificates that helps you further your education. But in this dual Ausbildung, that is dual study, you earn a bachelor's degree, and you also have a certificate that is a recognized apprenticeship certificate. That is what you get. Now, part of this dual, like I said earlier on, the dual study, you have 4 models. You can do it in 4 different ways. Now, the first model, that is what I'll be discussing, and the remaining 3 models, I'll do it in another video. The first model is the betriebliche Ausbildung, that is in company vocational training. You train in the company, and this is part of a dual training system, which means the training takes place as well at the company and the vocational school. You already work in a company, which leads to a job placement, maybe when you finish, if you are performing well, and so the company has invested in you, so it mostly leads to job placement. So you gain your practical experience in the company, and you familiarize yourself with the work process, and you can finish specific tasks. Unlike the Schule, where you are not integrated into working environment, it's just school based. When it comes to payment for the betriebliche Ausbildung, you get a salary or a stipend as well from the company, which helps you in your daily cost of living. Now, do you get a certificate? Yes. You do your final exam, that is the Abschlussprüfung, and the certificate you get is the IHK, that is Industry und Handwerkskammer or Handwerkskammer certificate. The certificate you get is a certificate from the Chambers of Industry and Commerce in Germany. So that is the certificate you get. So coming to the betriebliche, don't forget it's part of the model of the dual study, that is the dual Ausbildung. Now, if you want to start any vocational training, I want you to have in mind that there are different start dates, which varies on the vocational school or the university or the company. This you must know so as to know when to apply and not miss out on the robust system in Germany, on the vocational training in Germany. And the vocational training depends on the companies, if they are taking it full-time or part-time, the university or the vocational school. So don't forget, you have the schulische Ausbildung, you have the dual Ausbildung, and part of the dual Ausbildung, part of the model, which is the betriebliche Ausbildung, I have discussed in this video. The remaining three will still come, and they have different certificates. The first, you pursue it with the certificate, you use it to further your degree. The dual, you have your bachelor's degree or your apprentice certificate together. That is for the dual study. And the third, which is part of the dual study that I discussed, is the IHK certificate, which you get from the Commerce Industry and Commerce Chamber in Germany. So I'll always encourage you to access more vocational training in Germany. You must learn your German language, which is very important. So I encourage you, don't give up on your careers. Don't forget, only you can stop you. So I encourage you to subscribe so that when I drop the remaining three models of the dual Ausbildung that we have in Germany, you are the first to know. Don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with more amazing people like you. So I'll see you in my next video.